Under what circumstances would it be appropriate to turn down business from an existing or potential client? I think this is a great question. This is a really great question because even I, 20 years later, have had to figure out how to answer this question because I'm not sure there's like a perfect answer to it. So obviously what you're going to hear is, if a client is costing you more than you're making, or if a client is stands to ruin the image of your business or tarnish the brand that you've worked so hard to build, obviously you got to turn down that business. You got to turn it away. And it's this whole idea of short game versus long game. Are you going to just work with that customer to earn that money today, but over the long term you're going to pay for it? Or is it easier to turn that customer away today and preserve your business, your brand, your reputation, your image, your profit margin, etc., and collect more customers down the road? And this is a bit of an art, actually, from what I've discovered. I know lots of different businesses that do products and services, and in some businesses, like where you don't really interact with the customer, then this question really isn't relevant. This question typically comes from businesses where you are dealing with a customer. You have a customer right in front of you. And there's this analogy that says the interaction you have with a customer is never going to be as good as it is the first time that you meet them. And I kind of explain it more like dating. When you first meet someone new, you think the whole thing is exciting. The interaction is exciting, the engagement is exciting, going out for your first date is exciting. But what happens with every time that you meet is it's never as exciting, and it's never as interesting, and it's never as captivating as that first moment. And so it's the same thing with customers. If you deliver a product or service to the marketplace and you have to interact with a customer fairly frequently to see that product or service to its end, to be able to actually get a check from them, then you build a bit of a relationship. But that relationship will never be as strong as it is when you meet them for the very, very first time. And so when you come across a situation where a customer is causing you some grief, a customer is now making your life difficult or miserable, my opinion is that you can never turn away a bad customer quickly enough. Because again, to kind of borrow another old saying, that your first loss is your best loss. If you try to, some customers, you'll just never make them happy. Ever, ever, ever. No matter what you do, you simply will not make them happy. And so for every moment or for every second that you're spending on them, you could be spending those moments and those seconds on customers that you can make happy, that will attribute to your reputation and your brand and your integrity. But some customers, you just got to let them go. And there's no easy way to do it. Honestly, there's no simple way to say, get lost, I don't want to work with you, you're really difficult. Now, most times we don't actually say those words to a customer, but in our minds, we're certainly thinking it. For years as a mortgage broker, man, you want to talk about a business where, bird in hand versus two in the bush. You'd be working with a customer, you think everything's going great, and then, at the 11th hour, they'd come to you and they'd say, I can save 0.0000001% on my interest rate if I walk across the street and use your competitor. What are you going to do about that? Well, all of a sudden, the value that you thought you were creating with the customer is gone. It's now transactional. And because it's transactional, you're going to have to give something up to try and win that customer. And if you're going to compete on price, chances are you're probably not going to make the margin or the profit that you wanted. And so under what circumstances would it be appropriate to turn down business from an existing or a potential client? If you're not going to be profitable. There's an exception to that. I'll come back to it. So if you're not going to be profitable, if they stand to ruin your brand, your integrity, or your image, then you got to turn them away. Now, relative to them not being profitable, you might be saying, but Dylan, that's not very charitable. That's not really helping people. Well, sometimes you just have to be able to recognize that you're not going to be profitable. And if you're going to help that customer and not be profitable, that's on you, and you got to own that. You got to be prepared to say, okay, I'm going to help this customer, but we're not going to make any money on them because I'm too chicken to turn them away, or I don't really have a good reason to turn them away. But most times it's not going to work. You can't run a business on customers that you're not going to be profitable on. It doesn't matter. Even if you're Amazon, at some point you have to be profitable in order to keep the lights on and keep servicing the business. So if you got a customer you're not going to be profitable on, if you have other opportunities that you're pursuing, then that's a chance to turn away an existing client or potential client, because you You can't service everybody, and not everybody wants to be serviced. Some people will take advantage of your product or your service without really caring about your brand or your integrity or your image. They just want whatever it is you're giving them. And some customers you can just never please. Nothing you say, nothing you can do will help them out. So you've got to be smart enough to know, if I'm not going to be profitable, if I stand to have some brand equity or my integrity eroded, then this is a customer I'm going to have to turn away.